You're listening to Free Zone Radio.
Just before Halloween, it felt right to explore the music that lingers here in the dark. Look closely, and the speaker's haunted perspective emerges, line by line, word by word. For Free Zone Radio, this is With Honors, Season 2. Light thickens, and the crow makes wing to the rooky wood. Good things of day begin to droop and drowse, while night's black agents to their preys do rouse. So Macbeth tells us, as the season turns darker and the days grow shorter, it's the perfect time to look at the songs that stick in our minds, songs that feel less like music and more like a poem left in the shadows. Today, I'm led on this journey by a student who's been exploring song lyrics as lyric poetry through a TPCASTT framework. With him leading by the lamp, we'll follow the speaker of each song and see through their haunted perspective moments of regret, longing, or fear, hidden in their lines, their rhythm, and their tone. He's been thinking about these lyrics not just as fans do, but as the poets and the critics do, interrogating their words, listening for imagery, and uncovering meaning that might not be obvious on the first listen.
Hi, I'm Jackson. I love music. I love singing in choir, and I am here to talk about TPCASTT. TPCASTT is an excellent way to analyze lyrical poetry. Whether you're doing sonnets or even pop lyrics, it's an amazing way to get the meaning out of it and to learn something about the human experience.
And now, with the lights dimmed and the lyrics echoing, we step carefully into the corridors of these songs, following the haunted voices who cry out for our attention. Where do you come to us from? Traveler, where do you come to us from?
So I'm from Kansas City, Missouri.
The far-off wilds of Kansas City, Missouri.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Tell us about it. I've never been there. Am I missing out?
I think it's great.
Yeah.
That might be speaking of bias because I was in like one of the top-rated school districts there, but it was great. I miss all my friends.
Oh, yeah. Do you ever still talk to them?
Oh, heck yeah.
Do you?
I've kept in touch with a lot of them, man.
Oh, that's good, man. Like on what? Like Zoom calls or phone or what?
It's mainly just texting them, but I will genuinely call them.
Yeah. Did that sound like an old man when I was like, how? By Zoom calls? Did you write letters? Maybe you send up smoke signals. Yeah, I've never been to Kansas City, Missouri. Is that where you were born?
No, I was born in Louisville, Kentucky, and I've lived in quite a few places as time's gone on. I've lived in Alabama. I've lived in southern Kentucky. I've lived in Ohio. I've lived in Kansas City, obviously, and now I live here.
My dude, so you're telling me that your childhood is basically where of so much of the South, Kentucky, Tennessee, Missouri, Alabama. I mean, the Ohio, that's not South, but we get that. But so much of that. Do you think you have a Southern accent?
I hope not.
I don't think you do. I don't think you do. I don't think I would have called you a Midwestern accent, though. And here's why I was going to say that. So you're telling me that you've been around all over the South and up north to Ohio, which, okay. Brief pause. A lot of people are going to say that Missouri is not the South, but whatever, it still counts. And yet you don't really have a Southern accent. One of my theories is that maybe you, like me, I was born in Tennessee. I'm back and forth to Ohio. maybe we missed out on that Southern accent, and now we have a hybrid generic American accent.
Well, I like the generic American accent.
Do you know it's useful too? When they were picking a voice to record for like the old telephone systems, whenever you would get a misdial and it would go beep, 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 the number you are calling is blah, blah, blah. They had to sift through so many accents because they didn't want your call cannot be completed, but they also didn't want your call cannot be completed as dial. Like they had to go through all these accents and find somebody neutral. That's us. I don't have a Southern accent. I don't know how you would classify my accent, but I'm not an Ohio accent either. I'm caught between worlds. So when you think back to Kansas City, Missouri, is it Missouri or Missouri?
It's Missouri.
Missouri. Like when you think back to Kansas City, Missouri, what's something iconic about Kansas City?
Over the past few years, this is probably an obvious answer, but I'd say the Kansas City Chiefs.
No. Okay. Yeah, that's true.
The year that my family moved there was literally like when they started getting like really big, getting to the Super Bowls frequently. Like it started right when we moved there.
So you're the good luck charm.
Yeah.
And now you moved here. So they're going to start losing, and now we are going to start winning. You got to go to one of the top school districts in Kansas, top schools in the district at Kansas City. Guess what? You moved to one of the top schools in our district, too. We're the only high school. But so, I mean, that counts. You love music. Mm-hmm. You love a whole lot of music. Mm-hmm. You come in here with a jean jacket that has all these bands and stuff on it. And I could just tell from day one, I don't know, something about you. I could just tell dude liked music. And then I offered in class one day, you know, how are we supposed to take lyrics like this? How's the voice supposed to sing it? And I usually say something like that because kids don't know what the song is, so they don't know how to sing it. Mm-hmm. And most people won't volunteer. You volunteered to sing it. And you had a great voice. How long have you been singing?
So back in middle school, I wanted to join orchestra, but the school district messed up my schedule, and I ended up in band, and I didn't want that. So I tried switching out of that, and it somehow put me into choir, and that's where I've been ever since 7th grade.
But you like it, right?
Yeah.
Would you rather have an instrument, or would you rather be behind the microphone?
I would have to say behind the microphone.
Yeah, more so than the instrument. If you had to pick an instrument, though, that you were going to land on, it would be?
I love the sound of violins.
Oh, my dude. A violin or a fiddle?
Probably a violin.
I was going to say, is there a difference? I mean, other than the way you play it, is there structurally a difference between a violin and a fiddle? I don't know. I was hoping that you would know.
I don't.
Well, that's cool. But you do play violin?
No.
Oh.
Unfortunately. Hey, my mother...
You were just picking one. I like it.
My mother offered me lessons from one lady at our old church, and I would have taken lessons from her had we not moved over here.
Yeah. I was briefly in band in high school for 2 weeks. Guess what instrument I was? And don't you dare say tuba. Don't you dare say tuba. It was not a tuba.
Trombone?
No, but trombone would be good. I didn't have the arm length for a trombone. I didn't do that. I was saxophone. And my saxophone never came in, so they gave me like a hand-me-down to use in the meantime. And I really didn't put in the practice on it. But also, I can always just remember my mother being so excited about it, and that she said, "Ooh, I always loved when a man would play saxophone." And it grossed me out, right? That my mom was talking like that. So I never wanted to play sax again, and I just quit after 2 weeks. That was my window of music. I've never been a singer. I mean, everybody just kind of sings to themselves, but I've never been much of a singer. Or I've tried playing banjo. Banjo was my other thing for a while. I played banjo. You want to talk about TPCASTT. Other than it being a neat structure for teaching in the classroom, why the heck should you and I do an episode about TPCASTT?
Because some of my favorite days in class was when we would just sit down and take like pretty popular song and be like, hey, it's great to sing along with, but like, what actually can we get out of this? You know?
Yeah. TPCASTT, I always teach as a really useful tool for anybody who's scared of looking at poetry and feeling the anxiety of, oh no, what does this English teacher want me to get out of it? It should be a pretty useful tool. Last year, one of the first groups to pod about things in this class, they wanted to talk about TPCASTT too, because I think it's a pretty gettable thing. TPCASTT stands for title and then plot or paraphrase.
Connotations,
attitude,
shifts, title again, and theme.
That's right. So if you get presented with lyrics or a poem and you're like, I have no idea, if you follow those steps and just work your way through, it's a pretty digestible menu for how to deconstruct a poem, right? But you specifically want to look at song lyrics today. Like, what was one of the first ones you want to talk about?
So first, I'd like to actually go back to two that we've done in class and maybe take a deeper look.
Yeah.
And the first one I'd like to focus on was Viva La Vida by Coldplay.
Yeah.
And this is the most important part you said at the beginning, like before even looking at the lyrics, look at the title. Viva La Vida is obviously in a different language, but I don't think you ever said what it meant.
No. So Viva La Vida is basically meaning living life.
Yeah. And then you went on that rant about, oh, that was me. That was me as a teacher, but I felt falling off my peak.
Oh, did I go into a rant about that?
Yeah.
The Coldplay song, I remember being a pretty popular one early on in my career here, and I used it in class, and they had it as their final writing assignment for poetry. It was like a test grade writing assignment, and I let the song play while they were writing for 30 minutes. We were sick and tired of hearing this song by the end of 30 minutes. But I remember it being really popular around this time of year, and meaning live life. But basically, what is the plot of your song lyrics? What's the story of it?
This speaker who is either a king or feels like a king, just saying how they took a great fall, like things were going amazing, but like you said, there's a calm before the storm, and the storm takes away like seemingly everything that they once had.
Yeah. There's a natural tide in the affairs of men, that there are highs and lows in your life, and you have good years and bad years. And I think my reflection when we were circle time talking about it was that I remember, really good years. 2017 was a great school year for me. I got to be teacher of the year, and I had a really great class, and I had, just a lot. I was losing a lot of weight. I was jogging 3 miles a day. I had just a lot of good things going on in 2017. And then after it, I don't know, I got injured and I had a rough class one year. And then, I don't know, a lot more challenges, and there was resentments with other coworkers, and there was just a lot of other things. And then you had 2020, which was like the apocalypse. And it was just one thing after another that it felt like, man, I used to rule the world. Seas would rise when I gave the word, but now I just kind of like live alone and sweep the streets that I used to own. So I felt like that king, that I used to be on top of my game, but now not so much. What do you think it's really a song about?
So throughout the lyrics, like there's all these lines that are like people are against this king because he's done some bad things. Revolutionaries wait for my head on a silver plate. For some reason I can't explain, I know St. Peter won't call my name. And one lyric that I think we should have gone over more was just a puppet on a lonely string. Like, obviously, like, it could be he feels lonely, but what's that string that's, like, he's on? Because he's being controlled by something. And I was thinking it's probably, like, seeking his pursuit of, like, power and influence.
I was thinking, like, if he was a rock star and that he used to be king of the world, but now he's like a puppet on a lonely string. Sometimes, like, okay, you're not as popular as you used to be and you wish you could get out of a bad contract, but you still are in a contract that won't let you out. And you just lost all your fame and fortune, but man, I can't bust this contract. I'm just still beholden to whatever. Mm-hmm. I thought that the speaker had a pretty whiny or self-pitying kind of attitude when you use the line there, just like a puppet on a lonely string. What's the next line right after it?
Oh, who would ever want to be king?
Who would ever want to be king? What a pitying thing, right? But also other lines before it, when you had mentioned St. Peter won't know my name. What a self-pitying kind of thing of, oh, I'll never get in. Who would ever want to be me? But heck, isn't that human too? We've all had self-pitying moments. When you get to the end of it overall, thematically, what would you say is a message of this poem?
Probably calm before the storm. Like you'll be lifted up, then just as soon you'll be taken all the way down. You'll be dragged all the way down.
Is it just a warning, or is it just that's how it is? Live it, deal with it.
I think it's both a warning and a cautionary tale because, like, I think it's saying that this could very well likely happen to you, and it could be even worse if your perception, like, or if other people's perception of you is like that because of your actions.
Were you familiar with this song before we used it in class?
I was. Okay, so back in 6th grade, I had this like playlist of songs that I would play every day in like writing and social studies, and like the first 20 songs were all Beatles songs, but like after that there was like I think an Aerosmith song, and there was this.
Why did you add this to that playlist? Why'd you pick it?
Okay, so I first heard it back in 5th grade, and it just kind of stuck with me, like the way what is his name? Chris Martin would deliver the chorus, like always got me, you know.
Did that playlist? You said you used it for studying or just working in general?
Just working.
So it wasn't like inspirational. It wasn't to hype you up or anything like that. It was just good feels, background music. Okay. Do you think that's a comment about Coldplay music in general? Do you?
I haven't listened to Coldplay that much often, but I've heard Amsterdam in the past few months, and I think it's a terrific song.
Okay.
I've always loved Clocks, Infectious Piano, and it just I feel like there's something in the lyrics, but I haven't delved into that.
I do think that good songwriters, whether they're trying to be poetic or not, but good songwriters are typically going to weave in artfully elements that are, I don't know, trying to tell a bigger story or a bigger message about something, even if they're just a ballad or whatever. I think good songwriters are going to find good twists of phrase and imagery to add in there. My wife likes the song Yellow. Are you familiar with that one?
Unfortunately.
Oh, I'm leaving this part in for her to hear. What you say that? What was another song that you wanted to go over with TPCASTT? We had also used
that one song that I sang out when you wanted me to.
Yeah.
The Times They Are Changing by Bob Dylan.
Why do you like this one?
Okay, so I told you this the day after we went over it in class that I couldn't stop listening to it. Like, it feels relevant, it feels mature, and it feels like a little haunting, which one of the things that we're going to get into is why people would call like songs haunting or why they leave a lasting impression on you.
Yeah, I agree with that. Had you ever heard it before class?
Yeah, I've heard all these songs before we went over them in class.
Perfect. So when you heard us using them in class, it just really kind of like, oh, okay, I know this. Bob Dylan, what do you think about his voice? How would you characterize his voice as a singer?
It was really unconventional first time, like this kind of raspy voice. Like, you know, if you're just like one of those people in like the late 80s, early 90s, just like hearing these like people sing on the radio and they're just like clean singing. Then you hear Smells Like Teen Spirit in 91 and you just hear Kurt Cobain's like raspy voice. Like that's unconventional in like popular culture.
But also very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you look at the title, Times They Are A-Changing, why does that stand out to you off the page?
There's that little accent thing, like with a changin', like right off the bat, I can tell it's a folk song, and
it does sound folksy. It sounds conversational, a changin', right? For me, Times They Are A-Changin' reminds me of a William Butler Yeats poem, The Second Coming. Are you at all familiar with that?
No.
Okay, well, don't go look it up. It is a freaky, haunting kind of poem. It's all of 2 stanzas, but it reads like it's an end-of-the-world poem. And Yeats was writing about, society after World War II. And, maybe we didn't have all the answers. Maybe this whole civilization thing that we've cooked up is not what it was all supposed to be. Maybe there's something worse that we've led to. And so he's writing about great upheaval and change in society. And when I see Dylan's title, The Times They Are A-Changing, times, it made me think of end times. It made me think of something apocryphal that we're coming to an end. But I don't know that that's really what the lyrics make me feel. When I get into it, you mentioned haunting. And we could be haunted by Second Coming. We can be haunted by Times They Are A-Changing. But at the same time, I felt like there was something a little bittersweet in his lyrics, that change is good, but change can also hurt. And if you don't get out of its way, you're going to be the one getting hurt too. We all have to adapt. When you're explaining this poem to somebody who's never read it before, these song lyrics, how do you explain the story of it?
I would say that at the time he was writing about the like 60s counterculture of just all the teenagers kind of being like, hey, I want to be my own person, like especially seeing through the lines, come mothers and fathers throughout the land and don't criticize what you can't understand. Your sons and your daughters are beyond your command. Your old road is rapidly aging. Please get out of the new one if you can't lend your hand, for the times they are changing.
Yeah, it is something that we always tell ourselves, that I'm going to do it better. One of these days you're going to be a parent. One of these days you're going to be a parent, and you're going to think about the good parenting you had. You're going to think about, well, I was not happy with this. I'll be better this way. One of these days you're going to have a job, and you're going to think, oh yeah, I know how the old guy did it, but I'm going to do it better. And we always tell ourselves that we're going to beat the game this time. I'm going to be better than. And then a lot of the times we fall back into it and we become the news cycle. And we realize we're not so different than the ones that came before. Did the hippies solve everything in society?
No.
No. Did the boomers after World War II solve everything in society? No. Did the Gen Xers, did Kurt Cobain, did we solve everything in society? No. But I don't think that we're expected to have the perfect solution. Time needs to be changed. Generation after generation, we get caught in these same solid states. And there's this line from one of my favorite books, Dune, where he says, the sleeper must awaken. You got to wake up and change things. What do you love about some of his lyrics or imagery or anything? Or did I cut you off? You were going to say something. I think I cut you off.
I was going to say something.
Oh, well, say it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I read through a bunch of old Billboard magazines all the time, and something that they would have is critics just like writing like critiques about concerts from a bunch of bands, old and new. And there was one I read about a Bob Dylan concert from, I believe it was 1985. And the article is basically like saying, yeah, this concert was good, but like it doesn't feel that relevant anymore. Like Bob Dylan's still bringing his A game, or the best A game he can right now, but like it feels ironic whenever he's singing "Times They Are Changing" at the end.
Yeah. Does it feel that way to you?
I think maybe the performance was, yeah, but I think this song is still relevant.
Yeah.
His times are changing all the time.
I agree. What do you want to change about what do you want to see changed about your time?
I want people not to be so divided, honestly.
Amen.
Like, we got to find middle ground on some things, you know?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm going to throw this part out. Part of me feels like, yeah, we need a middle ground, but another part of me feels like, man, we've given and given and given, and we've let some of the crazies say the craziest things in society. And I don't know that the crazies deserve a voice. I don't know that the crazies deserve an equal share of the decision-making power. That sounds, I know, not democratic, which is why I'm cutting it out. But yeah, society feels like it really needs some upheaval and change right now. Overall, if you were going to grade, or like rate this song, how would you rate it?
I think musically and lyrically, like both together, I think they work almost perfectly. I would give it a 10 out of 10.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Best Bob Dylan song and one of the greatest songs of all time.
That's cool. Now, you're packing along some recommendations that we didn't get to in class. What's one of your recommendations here?
All right. So the first one I've got is Personal Jesus from 1989 by Depeche Mode.
My dude, you are reaching way back in time on Depeche Mode here. I know Depeche Mode, and you are hauling out 1989. I love this. So what do you want to do with this?
I'm thinking that we can both kind of quickly go through like and TPCASTT it.
Okay. So when you see a title like this, one of my first thoughts is personal. Like in my church, I know they always talk about personal relationship. You think about how personalized or how intimate or how one-on-one a relationship with a savior figure can be. And it also reminds me of a line from my favorite book ever, The Stand. I tell everybody about it. But at the very beginning, this guy, he's just made it big as a rock star. And his very first album is called Pocket Savior. Not personal Jesus, but Pocket Savior. But that's the personal, as if you could just plop it in your pocket and walk around with it all the time. What do you think about title?
I think that, like, obviously you've got the, like, personal aspect of it, and you have the religious aspect of, like, Jesus is this personal figure, but, like, it sounds a little egotistical, like, saying that you're more personal than Jesus, like, you know?
I do, yeah. So then you get into the lyrics. How do you want to deal with the lyrics? Do you just want to summarize them real quick? Well, tell us about the lyrics. How would you describe the song?
So this song's like obvious. This song is sort of coming from, I think the speaker's in a relationship where they're trying to say to this person, hey, I can be this close with you. I can be there for you. Like, especially with the first like line, like before anything, the song is just propels you into silence. Then you have the fade into a really loud, reach out, touch faith, you know?
I do.
And it's saying, hey, you could put faith in me, like your own personal Jesus, someone to hear your prayers, someone who cares, someone to hear your prayers, someone who's there. And it just goes on, like, feeling unknown, you're all alone, flesh and bone by the telephone, lift up the receiver, I'll make you a believer. Take second best, put me to the test, things on your chest you need to confess. I will deliver. You know I'm a forgiver. And it repeats that like the whole time.
Oh, there's a ton of repetition in the lyrics. Tons of repetition.
Like there's no like original lyric after that, except like I guess towards the end when it says reach out, reach out.
So I'm not going to put words in Depeche Mode's mouth. I was not there when they did any of the songwriting, so I can't say I know the mind of Depeche Mode.
I know the story behind this.
Oh, but you do?
I'll share it.
I want to hear it. Do it.
Okay, so Martin Gore, the songwriter for Depeche Mode, wrote it whenever he read Priscilla Presley's memoir about her marriage with Elvis, in that she would idolize him in a way because he was this sort of mentor figure to her. Like the idea of the songs basically about making these people play these like godlike parts for you, and that's not really a balanced way of looking at someone because no one's perfect.
Right. Like you idolize these people in your life, but then they turn out to not be as perfect. They turn out to be not as godlike or whatever.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
There's a line from a story that I teach I've used, I know, numerous times before, where it says, if gold should rust, what would poor iron do? And you hold these people up in your life that are supposed to be the perfect people, or that's my celebrity, or, you know, that's my pastor or whatever. Mm-hmm. And we do hold them to a higher standard, and they hold a lot of influence and sway over our lives, but they're also human beings. And when you find out that they sometimes are corrupt, or they sometimes have made bad decisions or been involved with some shady dealings, then where's that celebrity now? Where's that greatness now? And the corruption of the best of us is the corruption of the worst of us. So you hate to hold up these idolized versions of people. You put that person on a pedestal, that's out of your reach. You can't connect with them. Mm-hmm. But the very first line of your song here is,
reach out, touch faith, put faith in me.
Yeah. So again, I didn't know anything about this, but it really does reek of personal intimacy. The lines, reach out and touch faith, that is a personal contact. That is a physical contact of closing this distance between you and somebody else that is better or worshiped in some way, right? Clearly, we're not talking about Jesus as far as a religious figure here, but you're talking about this person that you've set up. And here, make that connection. Your very next stanza, your own personal Jesus, someone to hear your prayers, someone who cares. You go down to that third, feeling unknown, and you're all alone, flesh and bone, lift up the receiver, I'll make you a believer. This is a very personalized, intimate connection with you and another person, your speaker and another person. So why personal Jesus then? Why frame it in such a religious context?
I think it's because, well, I've seen the interview with the lead songwriter, and he's got like a list of like the top 10 things he would write about as Depeche Mode's songwriter. And it would be about namely love, hate, lust, religion, that sort of thing.
Madonna did the same exact thing in the late 80s and early 90s, where she used religious tones, religious word choices, religious imagery in her songs. And oftentimes people have misread what those songs are about. But also at the same time, it puts people off when they're like, don't blur the line. I mean, even her performing name, Madonna, right? I mean, that comes from an Italian reference to Mary, Mother of God. That this is the lady. We blur these lines between this worshipful, religious cast, this vision for something that we look up to, and yet the human is often reaching for the divine. Like that's the image, right? On the Sistine Chapel of God and Adam reaching out, and God has his finger pointed toward man, but man's finger is just barely curled. Man is not reaching as hard for God as God is reaching for man. But there's that little bit of distance, reach out. And another thing, so much repetition, it kind of makes me wonder if that isn't also, again, this may be way chicken boning it, but in religion, we repeat and repeat and repeat. There's call and response. There's the ritual of repetition. So maybe there's something to that with the repetition of this, drilling it into the person's head, of making that personal connection, reach out, solidify that relationship.
When you said repetition, like to me, it sounded like it made the song sound almost like a plea. Like, just trust me, reach out to me.
Yeah.
Like this, like I need you to depend on me, but maybe I'm the one that is depending on you to depend on me, if that makes sense.
Yes. Now, you and I both have heard this song before. So from the very first get-go, how do you characterize, because performance can always add to or change the way we take the written lyrics of it. How does that voice add to, enhance, change any of this meaning in the lyric? How would you say that?
It sounds like a sort of dark song, and I think the reason for that is because like this was off like Depeche Mode's big like breakthrough album Violator, and that was just like a darker toned album.
Yeah.
That they released.
When the very first line, perform it for me again. How does he say it?
Reach out, touch faith.
That doesn't sound like a very inviting, personal, romantic or intimate or anything. So how do you characterize that kind of volume? How do you characterize that kind of tone?
Desperate.
Desperate. Oh, I like that. It also made it sound aggressive to me. Like, why the aggression in making sure, maybe because the person is sick and tired of not having this connection. So do it. Reach out. Touch faith. That's a cool idea, man.
It could also, like with the lines, feeling unknown and you're all alone, like who's to say that the speaker hasn't felt this either?
Oh, that's a good idea, my dude. Is there ever a point in here where we hear from or get a clue what the spoken to person feels about anything? Or is it all one-sided from just the speaker?
It's all one-sided.
Yeah. But isn't that something that can fit with this too? That prayers often go unanswered. And here this is this yearning or this assertive commandment of, it is imperative, reach out, touch faith. There's no answer. There's just the repetition of do this, do this, do this. I'm not going to ask you to name names, but just think, have you ever been guilty of idolizing somebody, of having this false vision of somebody that you thought that's the kind of person that I want in my life? That's the kind of person that I want to follow. And then it turned out you never heard anything. You never heard anything from that person. Same exact way. Whether it's a person you were in love with, whether it's a celebrity you wanted to follow, whether it's, I want my career, I want my art to be like that person. And yet it turned out the person I had envisioned in my head, not so much what they really were. That, on paper, this is what they look like. Not so much when you actually get to know them. All right. How do you rate this song? Is this 10 out of 10 too?
I would say this is 7.5 out of 10 song.
I think that's fair. But why 7.5? Why are you not going to kick it up to an 8? What keeps it from being an 8 for you?
That's a good question. We never hear anything from the other person. Like we said, it's all one-sided.
Another song that you have in here. Oh, man. I just got a glimpse at all of these. Oh, please, can we skip ahead to the Pretenders?
Sure thing.
Yes.
Sure thing.
I love this song. So the next song, Back on the Chain Gang by the Pretenders, 1982. Why the heck did you pick this?
It's one of, if not the most somber song that they've ever recorded, and it always kind of gets me in the feels.
Does it really?
It does.
But even for a somber song, isn't it catchy? Mm-hmm. Isn't it a little toe tappy to hear it and like you sing along with it, right? Mm-hmm. Back on the Chain Gang.
I always put it on my summer playlist. Like it just feels really upbeat, feels like really warm. So I have this thing that like there's certain ways that people make electric guitars sound, and I'm like, that sounds like summer. It sounds like I'm on a beach. Like the Police have that sort of sound with their guitars,
yes.
And the Pretenders have it on this song too. Like, I'm at the beach. I'm cruising down the highway.
That's really cool to think about how sound can have color or sound can have a season to it. So Back on the Chain Gang is a summer song. Mm-hmm. What about Personal Jesus by Depeche Mode? What season is that?
It sounds like I'm out in the middle of nowhere.
It does. It really does. That's a good one. All right. So how would you explain the story of the Pretenders song, Back on the Chain Gang?
Okay. So we see this speaker. They have supposedly found a picture of someone who's really important in the speaker's life. I found a picture of you. It hijacked my world at night. Took me to a place in the past that we've been cast out of. Now we're back in the fight. We're back on the train. We're back on the Chain Gang. Then it goes on into that circumstance and the powers that be have like made us part.
Yeah.
In a way, you know?
So one of my flaws here, I skipped ahead. We should have talked about title too. Mm-hmm. But I think one of the reasons why I did that is just because I know the song and I really like it, right? But a title like that, Back on the Chain Gang, it makes me think of, the chain work gang from back in the 30s, or you think of the prisoners having to chop and everything. The Chain Gang sounds repressive. Mm-hmm. It sounds burdensome. It sounds tiresome that you're just back at the same drudgery of work. And also that front end of it, back on it, that, oh no, we've fallen back into the same old.
The thing that gets me is that like, when it says Back on the Chain Gang, it's only like after the speakers found this picture of this loved one that just reminds them of that, and just now I'm back on it. Like I wasn't on it before, but now that I've seen this picture, I'm back on the Chain Gang.
Yeah. Is that a good thing or a bad thing to be back on the Chain Gang?
I think it's a very bad thing.
Why?
Like it's just reminding the speaker, like, the powers that be, that force us to live like we do, bring me to my knees when I see what they've done to you. I think that's the shift in the song.
My dude, this is really starting to remind me of Personal Jesus, Depeche Mode right now, too. There's some crossover here of your speakers. There's some crossover in the yearning or the feeling like I'm not getting the connection that I need in my life. The finding a picture of you makes me think that they're suddenly reminiscent, right? And I don't have that anymore, and I'm lost without it. They also add vocalization here, with the ooh, ooh in here. Like you see it several times here. You don't see anything like that in the previous set of lyrics. Mm-hmm. So why, as a songwriter, like in the very first line and the third line, the second stanza, why intentionally add vocalization to your lyrics? Why do that?
Just for our listeners, it goes like, oh, back on the Chain Gang. I think that it's just the speaker honestly kind of crying out like, oh, I'm back on the Chain Gang.
Yeah. In a Shakespeare play, you sometimes get stage directions that tell you, oh, this is supposed to be done like this is supposed to be done like this. But Shakespeare almost never gives you any like really in-depth stage instructions. And I honestly don't think Shakespeare meant for his plays to be performed by a lot of other people. He's going to write it. He's going to perform it. We're going to be done with it by the end of the month. But a lot of other playwrights will give you lengthy passages of stage instructions. Arthur Miller meant for this play to be done like this, and that you should hear this in the background. You should see this, and the window should look like yada, yada. So it makes me wonder if the songwriter for this was like, I want whoever performs this in the future to definitely know there's some vocalization meant to be on these lines, and however you're going to do it, you got to do it your way there.
Mm-hmm. One thing that I would like to note is that also in the shift was bring me to my knees when I see what they've done to you. Like, okay, so I've moved, obviously, and there were some friends I had, like, we were really close, but then, like, towards the time when I moved, we had a falling out in friendship. Could the speaker be thinking about, like, oh, I wish I could go back to those times before maybe you did something or before you changed into this that brings me to my knees when I see what fate's done to you.
Yeah. Do you think that this song, the lyrics, are they supposed to be hopeful? Does it end with any kind of upbeat? Does it end with any kind of promise?
In the next stanza, it says, well, I'll die as I stand here today, knowing that deep in my heart, they'll fall to ruin one day for making us part.
How am I supposed to? This is a good AP level question. As an AP teacher, I'm supposed to ask questions of my students like this or get you to ask it. How am I supposed to take a lyric like that? How am I supposed to read or interpret a lyric like that?
I think it's like
that very last part. They'll fall to ruin one day for making us part.
Like, it might be saying, I'm going to do something about it or something like that.
So that's a threat.
Yeah.
That's a threat, man, right? Like one day, that's almost like revenge. One day this will happen. They certainly sound mournful in a way. Like the picture reminds me, but I don't have it. I don't have you here.
It repeats the in the last part before the last chorus. It goes back to, I found a picture of you.
Yes, it does.
So we go right back to where we start.
Oh, man. Circles can be really good because they're continuity, but circles can also be really bad because you're just stuck in a circle and never really progressing.
You just keep thinking about that person, and you keep dwelling on the past instead of, like, moving on, you know?
I think you perfectly captured it there, dwelling on the past and never being able to move on. Rate it. 1 out of 10.
Oh my gosh. This is easily, like, if it's not a 10 out of 10, it's a 9.5.
Really? This is your best Pretender song?
Yes.
Yeah.
By a long shot. I was at Foo Fighters concert and the Pretenders opened up for them.
Oh my gosh.
This is the song they did at the end.
You were at a Foo Fighters concert? Mm-hmm. Was Dave Grohl, the man, the myth, the legend himself there?
He was.
He graced the stage with his presence.
So there is actually a story behind this song too. So I found a picture of you part started when Chrissy Hines, the lead singer, was reflecting on her relationship with the lead singer of the Kinks, Ray Davies. Mm-hmm. And she was, I think, pregnant at that time with his child. But it soon, like, turned into this whole other song when one of her bandmates got fired, and then 2 days later, one of her bandmates died of an overdose.
Oh, wow.
The bandmate who was fired later that same year died of an overdose as well. So she lost 2 band members.
Yeah. So is that filtering into lyrics like this?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really good set of song lyrics. And also you find poetic devices with repetition, imagery, symbolism, structure. Man, structure's a hard thing to get kids to talk about, but you were really right on bringing that circular nature back up. Mm-hmm. Well, let's do one more before I have to go today. I'll let you pick since I picked the second one.
All right. We got to do another episode going over the rest.
1 billion%. I like that.
All right. So the last one. Okay. I also have so many songs that I cut for this.
Oh.
You don't know how many songs I went over. But the last one for today has to be Town Called Malice.
I love it.
A Town Called Malice by The Jam from 1982.
So this is the first one that I'm not familiar with.
Oh.
I mean, maybe if I heard it, I would remember it, but looking at it, I'm not familiar with it.
It's got really catchy bass line, and it's got a really, really nice sounding organ.
The Jam. Did they do anything else that I would know?
This was their most popular song. They were a really popular punk trio in Britain from the late 70s into early 80s. And this was from the album that made them more relevant than ever. And then the lead singer thought that hey, if we go on as a band, we'll get worse and fade, just like all the other bands do. So I'm going to cut it here, right after like this big wave of success. They had 4 UK #1 songs, and this was their last one.
Okay. The title, if I'm going through TPCASTT, A Town Called Malice, immediately makes me think of some of our stories that I tend to teach. I'm just thinking through the lens of an English teacher, like when you read A Rose for Emily and you think about the town judging Miss Emily. And it's immediately a one versus many kind of opposition. And here, A Town Called Malice makes me think that there's a lot of contention between a speaker and everybody else in town. Am I far off with that?
The way that it's like a big group, I think you're right in, but
okay, like
against
a man
the
versus
speaker,
group.
I wouldn't say is the case in this song.
Okay. When you explain the story of the lyrics, how would you do that?
So it's this speaker talking about all the things that are like wrong in his little community and how everyone in the community seems to be at unrest. Like a lot of it seems to be talking about how people are in poverty, how people are lonely, and that sort of thing. Like the opening lines literally, better stop dreaming of the quiet life because it's the one we'll never know, and quit running for the runaway bus because those rosy days are few. And life is short, life is cruel, but it's up to us to change this town called Malice. And then going on, it says, rows and rows of disused milk floats stand dying in the dairy yard, and 100 lonely housewives clutch empty milk bottles to their hearts, hanging out their old love letters on the line to dry. It's enough to make you stop believing when the tears come fast and furious in a town called Malice. There's struggle after struggle, year after year, the atmosphere's a fine blend of ice, and then I think it goes into talking about poverty when it's saying a whole street's belief in Sunday's roast beef gets dashed against the co-op, which is British for grocery store.
Right. Yeah.
To either cut down on beer or the kids' new gear, it's a big decision in a town called Malice. And then I think the shift might be in the lines, the ghost of a steam train echoes down my track. It's at the moment bound for nowhere, just going round and round. Playground kids and creaking swings, lost laughter in the breeze. I could go on for hours, and I probably will, but I'd sooner put some joy back in this town called Malice.
Why do you think it shifts there as opposed to the previous stanzas?
So it's at first it's talking about all these like horrible things. Like the speaker's obviously not content with where they're living or where this community is living. And then it's like, feels like it's going into personal reflection. Like the ghost of a steam train is echoing down my track. So I do have the background behind this.
Oh, okay.
So this is when unemployment in the UK was like really going down and key industries were starting to close.
Yes.
And this was starting lots of riots from police and obviously a lot of people living poorly in poverty. And a lot of it's also inspired by the lead singer's hometown in the way that the ghost of a steam train echoes down my track. Like, did you ever live in a house that was like right by like train tracks.
Oh, yeah.
And at night you just hear a train going by.
Yes.
That happened to me. Like, and it's like that's not around here anymore.
We moved into an area where the train tracks literally were like a street over from my house. And the first night we lived there, the first week we lived there, I remember that train coming through at night, waking me up. And I remember thinking, oh man, how can I sleep like that? Hearing trains at night are one of the most sleep-inducing things for me now. Like a train in the distance sounds so comforting to me now.
It's like the hope of getting you out of this situation, just like echoing, like, you can chase me. But like at the beginning, it's also like, and quit running for the runaway bus, because those rosy days are few. Like, I'm assuming, because like, obviously if you're a kid and you're living in this, you'd probably run away from home because you don't want to stay in this situation, but you'd probably end up dead.
There's a lot of loss and change.
Mm-hmm. Those rosy days are few.
The first stanza opens with a commandment, better stop dreaming of that quiet life. And you're right, the runaway bus, these rosy days are few and far between. The good old days maybe aren't so good, and it's all going away, these ideals that you had. And you're right, that ghost of a steam train echoes down my track, because it's not an actual train. Mm-hmm. It's the ghost of one. It's the echo of something authentic. Mm-hmm. And it's not even here, it echoes. So it's like a copy of a copy in the distance of a distance. Uh-huh. This song makes me want to parallel it with Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA.
Oh, heck yeah. I think it does that very well.
Mm-hmm. Everybody,
and this is before Born in the USA,
right?
It's like the UK version.
Ironically or not, Reagan used Born in the USA as part of his re-election bid.
I know,
because it has that. People misread it or they mishear it and they think, yeah, American.
Yeah, Born in the USA.
But
That's
Born in the USA it's a lament. It's about all these sad things that are going on in our country.
Like, do you hear how angry Springsteen is when he's singing that?
No, all you heard was Born in the USA. But yeah, this also with 1982, you're right to bring that up, that England was struggling. People in England were struggling, and they elected the Iron Lady, Margaret Thatcher, to solve their ills. And she gave them some tough medicine. She gave them some cold medicine, and is basically like, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. We're not helping you. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's not helping society.
Like another song that was like protesting Margaret Thatcher's time as prime minister was, if you've heard this one, Sowing the Seeds of Love by Tears for Fears.
Yes.
Politician Granny with your high ideals, do you have no idea how the majority feels?
Yeah.
One of the best lines of songwriting I've ever heard.
I always tell kids in class, I don't care what you think. You don't care what I think when it comes to politics or religion or love or whatever. But if we can't talk about everything,
we can't talk about anything.
We can't talk about anything. And I do feel like society is pretty cyclical, that we come back in these cycles, and maybe it's every 5 years or every 30 years or who knows how long. They always say that history repeats itself. And I don't know that history repeats itself, but it certainly echoes. And here you talking about that line from Tears for Fears. We're reading A Town Called Malice, Born in the USA. I feel like America is back in that rut again. Mm-hmm. And whether it's the times they are a-changin', whether it's any of these examples that you've given me today, I feel like society's ready for some big change. Mm-hmm. And we're not happy with we're not happy with the medicine that's been handed out so far, or the lack of medicine that's been handed out so far. We want solutions.
Like, in a way, I'd say these songs sound really haunting.
Do you feel like I agree with the haunting bit of it. Do you think that there's any song lyrics that are out there right now that you think, oh man, we're seeing the same kind of lyrics in songs like this?
I haven't really heard anything from the counterculture of today.
I don't either. What is that then? Is that Americans are so apathetic that we just want to listen to more beat, 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 beat?
So I do know that there is this sort of subculture rising because AI is like a big thing now. And there's one songwriter on, I think it's TikTok, that was like, that made a song about, have you seen that video of like the AI bunnies on the trampoline?
Yes.
And it's basically this like piano ballad of saying, if those bunnies aren't real, then how do I know that the love you give me is real? And like, are these like, is the government going to manufacture my feelings? Are they not going to be artificial anymore?
Ouch. If I can't trust that those bunnies are real, how can I trust the love? Ouch. Yeah, part of me wonders if music today is so often, like at least mainstream music is so often just escapist that there's anytime you open up the news or whatever, man, there's just a lot of dark, chaotic things to hear about and there's no solutions. And then next week there's new, dark, chaotic things and still no solutions. So maybe we don't want to just keep hearing about it. Maybe we want to escape into our music. But I do feel like at some point we need a new Bob Dylan. We need a new The Jam. We need a new Springsteen out there that's like, come on, man. Born in the USA. It's for real that this is a bad thing right now going on.
What do you think, like, just in general, makes a haunting song? Because I asked you this at the end of class during Biscuits with the Boss. Like, what's the most haunting song you've heard? And you were like, More Than a Feeling, Boston, Total Eclipse of the Heart, Bonnie Tyler.
Okay, well, I was wrong about that. I was wrong about that. I when I say things like that, haunting, maybe it's because of personal connections that I had to him before that it kind of lingers with you. But haunting, in the sense that we've talked about today, no. I have my answers, and then I want to hear your answer to it. So do you have one before I tell you?
Okay, so what was that? What was that thing you said? Personal preference or?
Yes.
Okay, so you've probably heard Starman by David Bowie.
Oh yeah.
Right. It's a really hopeful song in a really somber album, just about this figure, Ziggy Stardust, giving like the youth of that day hope, even though their planet is literally dying. But I never get that out of the song. And do you want to know why? There's a really, really specific reason why. One of my biggest like fears is whenever I'm in the car with my family and then someone starts like arguing and then like everyone just starts pitching in, arguing, or like maybe it's two people. Sometimes like there will be a screaming match. And anytime Starman has played in the car, like I don't think it's because of that, but like it's always been a time when there's like when my family's just arguing about something. It could be anything. And like I really don't want to hear you guys arguing. I want to get to the destination safely.
Yeah.
And just whenever I'm listening to Starman, like it's a fantastic song, but it just brings my fear into the words.
So like personal connection to that. Yeah. For me, if a song's going to be haunting, it's going to either intentionally have spent a lot of time or talent crafting certain lines that are going to be like touchstones with people that are going to really resonate, or sometimes they serendipitously, on accident, by fate, trip into lines that just forever resonate. That really just get to somebody. That's going to be a haunting kind of song. And that every time you hear it, it's like, man, he was right. Man, he's right.
There's one thing I want to touch on. Like, why is like so many songs on my Halloween playlist, like the creepiest sounding ones, why are they from like the 1980s? And I think it's because like just the context of Nuclear Panic, because like in the mainstream, you'd hear songs like Prince's 1999, Peter Gabriel's Games Without Frontiers, Modern English's I Melt With You, Men at Work's It's a Mistake, all about like the paranoia that people are feeling. And I think that it kind of reflected the time. Like A really specific example of things reflecting the time is the short period between JFK's assassination and Beatlemania, when the U.S. was just like really down. You'd have these really somber songs dominating the charts. Like you'd have Bobby Vinton records, you'd have Dominique by the Singing Nun, and there's that one song that I sent to you, Washington Square by the Village Stompers. If that song was released during a time when the country was like up, like if it was released after Beatlemania, it would not be a hit. But like it reflected their somber attitude and reflected that they really need something to lift them up, which Beatlemania did.
Man, I'm telling you, history may not repeat itself, but it certainly echoes. And you're talking about society being down in the time of Kennedy's assassination, followed by Beatlemania. And then in the 70s, you had Jimmy Carter, who was a wonderful human being, but his one-term presidency oversaw what we called a malaise, just a general kind of apathy with the country. And you had Americans being held hostage by Iranians, and you had like gas prices at an all-time high, and everybody was like, what is wrong with our country? We have forgotten who we used to be. And then we elected Reagan, and we got all these great music sensations in the 80s, and pop culture was through the roof. And Reagan's whole presidency was predicated upon the idea of it's morning again in America, like a new day. And that the 80s are just iconic for that return, like a better time for America. And we talked about it in class the other day. Economically speaking, it was not a better time for everybody. There are a lot of people doing without. But if you look at it on the long timeline, people have the good feels about the 80s. You may or may not have meant to do this, but you give me hope. You give me hope right now. Because if I'm feeling really dark and chaotic about the spiral that we're in America right now, maybe that means we're about to get a new Beatlemania. Maybe that means we're about to get a new generation that outdoes the 80s. Could you imagine? Could you even wrap your head around a new generation that outdoes the 80s? Everybody always, whenever they talk about the 80s, I feel like everybody's like always so big on the 80s. The 80s were like the high point of American culture, I feel like, in our collective lifetimes right now, right?
If you just go into YouTube comment sections for old songs, most of the time when it's the 80s, like you'll see a lot of like older people who were most likely teenagers in that generation be like, I wish that the 80s, I was still there. I wish I could still be in those golden days because everything's gone bad, even though things were still bad then.
We talked about it in class the other day.
Yeah.
If I could teleport back to the 80s, I would. And I'm not because like it had all the solution to everything, but man, I have a lot of good memories of the 80s. The 80s were a fun time.
I brought that up,
right?
And that's when you went on your rant about that.
I did. I did. Yeah, the 80s were a great time for that. But here you give me hope. Maybe if we're on this cycle, then a really dark time like this is going to be followed by a really boom in time. Maybe we're setting ourselves up for a great success. It's going to have to come at some great upheaval. Dylan tells us that.
We're going to have to reach out and touch faith.
We're going to have to reach out and touch faith. And you know what? If you can't lend a hand, get out of the way. Right? The kids these days. We're going to have to do days. Jackson, I cannot wait for episode 2. I cannot wait for the sequel to this. Are we going to stick with 80s music, or are we going to do different things for our next episode?
So the 2 songs that we're going to go over next episode, keep this in mind, audience. It's going to be "This Is the Day" by the and "Come Dancing" by the Kinks.
We'll give them homework. They got to listen to these songs right before the next episode.
And I had a lot of other songs that like I said, I brainstormed and had the cut in the end.
Yeah.
But we had Salisbury Hill, Peter Gabriel.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Fake Plastic Trees, Radiohead. Learning to Fly, Tom Petty. Subdivisions, Rush. Rain in the Summertime, The Alarm. Silent Running, Mike and the Mechanics.
We could do 4 or 5 episodes on Tom Petty music alone.
That's so true. Christopher would love that.
Oh, that'd be great. All right, so maybe next time you even have a guest who comes on here and we bounce ideas off of them. And
it could be Christopher.
It could be. You had this whole idea that we should have a classroom soundtrack too. So I think you're going to have to curate a classroom soundtrack. It's going to be called Now That's What I Call Honors English. A 3 CD set. With Honors is a Free Zone radio production, produced here in Sparta, Tennessee. This episode was edited by Wyatt Blaylock. You can find more of our shows here on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to great content. Check out our new show, Second Stage, premiering this season, as well as our brother podcast, A Dead Man's Books and Haston Curation.
Hey everyone, my name is Drew, and I want to talk to you about my show, A Dead Man's Books. The show was created with the mindset of whenever I pass away, as morbidly as that sounds, that my children would inherit my books, and of all the things that I'm going to pass down to them, I think that that's the one thing that I want them to make sure that they keep and go through on their own time, but I want to be there next to them whenever they read these things. And so I created a podcast so that they could go back and listen to me and my friends and other people as we read through these books and what we had to think about it. But it's grown to so much more. We've got authors we interview. We talk about everyday life. We talk about how literature connects to life. All of those things in one place. And now we want you to come along with us and join us. This is a podcast not just for my kids, but for everyone who loves to read, everyone who loves a good story, everyone who's a parent, everyone who's a teacher, everyone who just enjoys literature. This is a place to come. So come join us every Monday on A Dead Man's Books.